All right, let's talk about one of the most polarizing figures in the entire self-help world. I'm talking, of course, about the man who's built a global empire on the promise of transformation, Tony Robbins. You know this quote from Oscar Wilde? It just nails this feeling we all have, right? This desire to be in control of our emotions, not to be controlled by them. And that is the exact feeling Tony Robbins has tapped into, promising millions the keys to mastering their inner world. So here's the big question we're tackling today. Is his method a real, genuine path to power, or is it just a dangerous performance? We're going to look at both sides, using his own methods and a pretty sharp critique to guide us. Okay, so first up, let's really get into the promise he's offering. And it's a huge promise, one that's hooked in everyone from world leaders to a former Microsoft manager who said these techniques helped him crush it in super high-pressure situations. So here it is, the core claim, right from his book, Awaken the Giant Within. He says, with these 6 simple steps, you can master virtually any emotion that comes up in your life. Basically, he's saying you can stop just reacting to your feelings and start using them as a tool, as a source of insight. So what is this blueprint exactly? Well, it's a 6-step process for emotional mastery, and we're going to break it down right now. So look at these steps. The whole point is to take you from feeling completely overwhelmed by an emotion to actually doing something about it. It's not about fighting the feeling, which is key. It starts with just identifying it, even appreciating it, and then it builds and builds until you're ready to take action. Now, step 3. This is where things really start to shift. It's all about getting curious. The whole idea is to stop seeing an emotion as this heavy thing weighing you down, and instead see it as a signal, a message trying to tell you something. And he gets super practical with it. He says you should ask yourself these 4 questions. Think of them as a way to decode what that emotion is trying to tell you, to figure out its real purpose. It's basically about turning all that frustration or sadness into fuel. And from there, steps 4 and 5, these are all about building momentum. See, he argues that confidence isn't something you just magically get. Nope, you build it. You build it by remembering all the times you successfully handled something similar before. It's like you're literally rehearsing for success in your own mind. Okay, so we've got the blueprint. It sounds pretty empowering, right? It sounds great on paper, but what if it's all just a trick? Does this stuff actually work for everyone? And maybe more importantly, is it even safe? Well, let's switch gears and look at a very different perspective. This comes from an author named Jason Cannell. He tried one of Robbins' techniques from Unlimited Power, where you're supposed to yell whoosh to rewire your brain. And for him, the result was an empowerment. He said he just felt like a complete jackass and realized he was chasing an emotional get-rich-quick scheme. And you know, for Connell, this whole whooshing thing wasn't just some funny story. It actually sparked a really deep and powerful critique, not just of that one technique, but of Tony Robbins himself and the methods he uses. So Connell starts to build this critical profile, and he points out, hey, wait a minute, Tony Robbins is dealing with some really deep psychological stuff, but he's not a licensed psychologist or psychiatrist. Connell also suggests that his charisma is so powerful, so irresistible, that it can actually be blinding. It makes it hard for people to tell the difference between solid advice and what might just be a really good performance. But the critique gets a lot more serious from there. Citing the documentary I Am Not Your Guru, Connell brings up some really disturbing allegations. He claims that Robbins' onstage interventions cross the line from coaching into what he calls outright abuse, bullying people, exploiting their trauma for the audience, and even mocking a suicidal man before claiming he was cured. And this intense critique of Robbins is really part of a much bigger warning. It's a warning about the whole personal development industry, this massive world that can sometimes feel like a minefield. So what are the red flags you should be looking out for? Well, according to the source, be really, really wary of anyone who guarantees results or promises a quick fix. Because here's the thing, this industry is pretty much unregulated. That means a fancy-looking certification might not mean anything at all. The real takeaway here, real, lasting change, it just takes time and work. So all of this brings us to a really vital question. If you're looking for help, if you want to grow, who do you turn to? Is it a coach or is it a therapist? And the source here makes a really important distinction. Think of it this way. Coaches can be amazing for very specific skills, right? Like getting better at public speaking or just having someone to hold you accountable. But therapists, they are trained medical professionals. They're the ones equipped to help with things like trauma, anxiety, and those deeper mental health challenges. And on this point, Connell does not mince words. He is crystal clear. He says that if you're a survivor of trauma, a coach isn't just unqualified, they could actually be dangerous. His advice is simple and direct. Work with a trained therapist. So, in the end, it really comes down to this fundamental choice, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got the incredible pull of a charismatic guide promising a shortcut to mastering your life. And on the other, you have the slower, steadier, and sometimes harder work with a trained professional. The thing to take away from all this isn't a simple answer. It's just how incredibly important it is to choose your guide wisely. The real question isn't just who you should follow, but what kind of journey you truly need to be on.